All right, so today we're gonna take a deep dive into something a little bit different.
Okay.
It's something called your Transhumanist score,
Interesting.
and this is from a mini quiz that we found on the Spiritual Seek.
Ah, yes.
You know,
Spiritual seek.
that site that always seems to have its finger on the pulse of kind of like
Yeah,
the future,
absolutely.
and technology and all that kind of stuff. And,
I love that site.
yeah, and
They always.
remember that article that they did a while back on biohacking?
Oh, yeah. That was fascinating.
I mean, so interesting.
I know.
So anyway, they put together this quiz,
Right.
and it's a 6-statement quiz
Okay.
that's supposed to kind of like gauge where you land on this whole spectrum of transhumanist thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, you know what? We're going to break down each of these statements one by one.
I liked it.
And we're going to really dig into
Yeah.
what they're really talking about.
Okay, sounds good.
So statement number 1, I believe technology can vastly enhance human longevity.
Oh.
All right, so on the surface, this sounds,
yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to live longer?
Right. Especially like a healthy,
Right.
vibrant
Longer life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are the potential benefits we're talking about here when we talk about like...
Well,
Yeah.
I think it really taps into the advancements in fields like regenerative medicine,
Okay.
gene editing,
Oh.
nanotechnology.
Yeah.
The idea is that technology is going to evolve to a point where we can repair cellular damage,
Wow.
slow down aging process,
It's amazing.
and potentially even reverse them.
Now, you mentioned gene editing,
Yes.
and that reminds me of a study that you sent me a while back
Right.
about scientists using CRISPR to successfully extend the lifespan of mice.
Exactly.
And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, that is pretty groundbreaking.
That's the type of research that fuels this optimism around like radical life extension.
Radical life extension.
Yeah.
I love that term. Imagine a world where people routinely live well past 100, healthy, active,
Yeah.
contributing to society for decades longer than we currently do.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But okay, so living longer doesn't necessarily mean living better.
That's true.
So what are some of the potential downsides or risks that we really need to...
I think one of the biggest concerns is the potential for inequality.
Oh.
These advanced life extension technologies would likely be very expensive, at least initially.
Yeah.
So this could create a society where the wealthy elite have access to significantly longer lifespans while others are left behind,
Mhm.
further exacerbating social divisions.
Wow, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole question of resources. Like, we're already grappling with issues of overpopulation,
Right.
resource scarcity.
Absolutely.
I mean, could the planet even sustain
Right.
a significantly larger population
Yeah.
living for much longer?
Well, that's a huge unknown.
Yeah.
Overpopulation could lead to intensified competition for resources. Oh.
Potentially exacerbating conflicts, environmental degradation,
Oh, wow.
further straining the planet's ecosystems.
So, listener, where do you land on this first statement?
Yeah.
Does the potential for extended lifespans outweigh the potential societal and environmental risks?
Right.
It's definitely something to ponder.
It is.
All right, let's move on to statement number 2,
Okay.
which focuses on the role of artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
I support the ethical use of AI to improve human cognition.
Okay.
Now, this one is particularly intriguing, I think, because it delves into the realm of enhancing our minds.
Absolutely. This statement really highlights the potential of AI to augment our cognitive abilities,
Yeah.
whether it's enhancing our memory, accelerating learning, boosting creativity,
Wow.
or even potentially unlocking new ways of thinking and perceiving the world.
You know what's so interesting? In one of the articles you shared from the Spiritual Seek,
Right.
they mention this concept of cognitive offloading. Cognitive offloading.
Essentially using AI to handle certain mental tasks
Right.
so that we can focus on higher level thinking.
Yes.
It's almost like...
Like having an external hard drive
Yes.
for your brain.
Exactly.
Freeing up space
Yes.
for more creativity.
In innovation.
And animation.
Yeah, that's a great example.
It is.
But of course, with any powerful technology,
Of course.
we need to consider
Yes.
the potential pitfalls.
The downsides.
Exactly. Because even with the best intentions, right?
Yeah.
How do we ensure that AI is used ethically when it comes to enhancing our minds?
Well, for starters, who gets to define
Right.
what constitutes ethical use?
Oh, that's a good point.
And how do we safeguard against potential biases creeping into the algorithms that shape our thinking?
Wow.
We don't want to inadvertently create systems that reinforce existing inequalities or limit our perspectives.
Right. Because it's easy to imagine a scenario where AI is used to kind of like subtly manipulate our thoughts
Yeah.
or steer us towards certain decisions without our even being aware of it.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then there's a question of autonomy.
Yes.
If we become overly reliant on AI to do our thinking for us,
Right.
what happens to our own critical thinking skills
Exactly.
and our ability to make independent judgments?
It's almost like relying too heavily on GPS navigation
Yes.
and losing our sense of direction.
Yes.
We might become so dependent on the technology that we lose our ability to navigate the world on our own terms.
Wow, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, listener, this one's a biggie.
It is.
When it comes to AI enhancing our minds,
Right.
are you more drawn to the potential for cognitive expansion?
Right.
Or do the ethical concerns outweigh the benefits for you? All right, let's dive into statement number 3,
Okay.
which takes us into the world of virtual reality.
Ooh, fun.
I look forward to experiencing the full potential of VR.
All right.
You know, I actually tried a VR headset recently,
Oh, yeah.
and it was, whoa. The level of immersion
Yeah.
is incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
It truly felt like I was transported to another world.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very convincing.
it really is.
Yeah.
So that's the allure of VR, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. The ability to create these incredibly realistic and engaging experiences
Yeah.
that can transport us to distant places, historical events, or even entirely imagined worlds.
Right.
The potential for education, entertainment, and even therapeutic applications is vast.
It's like that article in the Spiritual Seek about using VR to help people overcome phobias.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were saying that by gradually exposing people to their fears in a controlled virtual environment,
That's right.
it can actually rewire their brains
Yeah.
to reduce anxiety.
I know, isn't it?
It is.
But as with any technology, there's a flip side to consider.
Of course.
That same level of immersion that makes VR so compelling
Right.
can also be a double-edged sword.
Because spending too much time in these hyper-realistic virtual worlds could lead to people disconnecting from reality.
Exactly.
Right.
There's a potential for addiction to the escapism that VR offers,
Yeah.
leading to a preference for virtual experiences
Oh.
over real-world interactions and responsibilities.
And what about the potential for misinformation or manipulation
Right.
within VR environment?
That's a good point.
I mean, it's already difficult enough
It is.
to discern truth from falsehood in the digital age.
Yes.
But in a fully immersive virtual world,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
it could become even more challenging.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
If we can't distinguish between what's real and what's fabricated,
Right.
it could have a profound impact on how we perceive the world,
Yeah.
make decisions,
Yeah.
and even form our beliefs.
So, listener, where do you stand on the potential of VR?
Yeah, good question.
Is it all fun and games and exciting new possibilities,
Sure.
or are the risks
Yeah.
too great to ignore?
A lot to think about
know.
there.
We'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, it really is a lot to think about. And speaking of blurring the lines between the real and the virtual statement, number 4 takes us even deeper into that territory.
Oh, well.
I am excited about brain-computer interfaces enhancing our minds.
Well, okay, brain-computer interfaces.
Yeah.
Or DCIs for short.
Right.
Now we're talking about directly connecting our brains to computers.
Yes.
I mean, that sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? Is this even possible?
It's more than possible. It's already happening,
Really?
albeit in its early stages.
Wow.
Researchers are developing BCIs that can allow paralyzed patients to control prosthetic limbs with their thoughts,
Oh, wow.
or help people with speech difficulties to communicate.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but the long-term potential is what's truly captivating and maybe a little unsettling.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
We're talking about the potential to, instantly access information.
Right.
Control devices in our environment, even share thoughts and emotions directly with others.
All through a brain-computer interface.
It's a radical leap forward in how we interact with the world and with each other.
Wow.
But as you can imagine,
Yeah.
the ethical considerations are just as radical.
Because if our brains are essentially plugged into the internet,
Right.
that opens up a whole new world of vulnerabilities.
It does.
I mean, what about the risks of hacking
Uh-huh.
or someone hijacking our thoughts?
Yeah.
Or even implanting false memories?
Those are all valid concerns.
I mean,
The security implications of BCIs are massive.
yeah.
We're talking about safeguarding our very thoughts and consciousness from malicious actors.
Right.
And then there are the ethical questions about consent and bodily autonomy.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide what's implanted in our brains and how those implants are used?
It's like opening up a whole new frontier
It is.
of ethical dilemmas.
Yeah, we're essentially venturing into uncharted territory here.
So listener, where do you stand on this one? Is the potential for BCIs to enhance our minds and expand our capabilities worth the potential risks to our privacy, our security, and even our sense of self?
Big questions.
Yeah. All right, statement number 5 takes us into the world of nanotechnology.
Okay.
I trust that nanotechnology will revolutionize medicine and healthcare.
Right.
Now, nanotechnology, this is all about manipulating materials at the atomic and molecular level, right?
That's right. It
Sounds incredibly futuristic.
It is.
Sounds like something out of a science fiction novel.
It does, but it's a reality that's rapidly approaching.
Really?
Imagine tiny nanomachines traveling through your bloodstream, repairing damaged cells,
Wow.
delivering targeted drug therapies, even destroying cancerous tumors.
That's amazing.
Nanotechnology has the potential to transform medicine as we know it.
It's like having a microscopic medical team working inside your body 24/7.
Exactly.
No more invasive surgeries
Right.
or lengthy recovery times.
Yeah, much more precise and targeted interventions.
But of course, every rose has its thorns, right?
Of course.
What are some of the potential downsides of nanotechnology, especially when it comes to our health?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is understanding the long-term effects of nanoparticles on human health and the environment.
Okay.
We're still in the early stages of research.
Yeah.
And there are concerns about potential unintended consequences.
Like what?
What happens if these tiny machines malfunction or accumulate in unintended places?
Right.
Could they trigger unforeseen side effects or even ecological damage?
It's like the old adage, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
We need to proceed cautiously and ensure that we're fully aware of the potential risks
Right.
before unleashing nanotechnology into our bodies and into the world.
I agree.
All right, listener, on this one, are you a believer in the potential of nanotechnology to heal and enhance our bodies?
Yeah.
Or are you wary of the unknowns and potential unintended consequences?
What do you think?
And finally, statement number 6 brings us to perhaps the grandest question of them all.
Okay, let's hear it.
I foresee a world where existential risks are mitigated by advanced tech solutions.
Wow, that is a big one?
Now we're talking about those big, scary threats that could potentially wipe out humanity.
Right.
Climate change, nuclear war, pandemics,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence gone rogue.
Yeah, all the big ones?
I mean, are we really saying that technology could be our savior in the face of such existential threats?
It's a bold claim for sure.
Yeah.
But the idea here is that advanced technologies from artificial intelligence to advanced robotics to space exploration
Okay.
could potentially offer solutions to these seemingly insurmountable problems.
So, like, what kind of solutions are we talking about?
Well, imagine AI developing clean energy solutions.
Okay.
Or robots cleaning up nuclear waste.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe even humans establishing colonies on other planets as a backup plan in case Earth becomes uninhabitable.
It's almost like putting all our eggs in the technology basket.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. And hoping for the best.
Yeah, but isn't that a bit risky?
Yeah. What if we become so reliant on technology to solve these existential problems that we neglect to address the underlying social, political, and economic factors that contribute to them in the first place?
That's the danger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technology can be a powerful tool, but it's not a magic wand.
Right.
If we rely solely on technological fixes without addressing the root causes of these existential threats, we might just be delaying the inevitable.
It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You might get some temporary results, but in the end, you're just making the problem worse.
Exactly.
So the question becomes, is technology our savior?
Right.
Or is it a false sense of security that prevents us from taking the necessary steps to address these existential threats at their core?
That's the real question.
Listener, this is a big one to ponder.
It is.
Where do you stand on the role of technology in mitigating existential risks?
Yeah, it really is a big one to think about. You know, we've explored a lot of ground in this deep dive into transhumanism.
I know, it's amazing.
From extending our lifespans to merging with machines to potentially mitigating these existential threats with advanced tech, I mean, it really feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era for humanity.
Yeah, it really is mind-blowing, and it's fascinating to think about how these seemingly disparate ideas, life extension, AI, virtual reality, nanotech, all kind of converge under this umbrella of transhumanism.
Right.
It's this drive to use technology to kind of like transcend our current limitations and redefine what it means to be human.
And the spiritual seek, with its focus on exploring this intersection of technology and spirituality. I mean, it's a perfect lens through which to view these, complex and often controversial ideas.
Absolutely. So, listener, as we wrap up our deep dive, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Looking back at all 6 statements, what resonates most strongly with you, which potential benefits are most exciting, and which risks are most concerning? Where do you find yourself landing on this transhumanist spectrum?
And here's a final question to ponder as you continue exploring these ideas on your own. If technology could truly make us better, longer-lived, smarter, more capable, how do we ensure that those benefits are shared equitably?
Right.
How do we avoid exacerbating existing inequalities and creating a world where only a select few have access to these transformative technologies?
It's a crucial question to consider as we navigate this uncharted territory, because ultimately the future of humanity isn't just about technological advancement. It's about ensuring that those advancements benefit all of us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of transhumanism. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities.